What's going on, YouTube? Your Zelda holic here, and I'm just jumping into this right now. I have been going over, as I'm sure many of you out there have, I've been going over the two trailers that Nintendo has given us on the Breath of the Wild sequel that they are currently in development of. And I've been going frame by frame, I've been looking closely at them, thinking about different things, reading through, creating a champion, all sorts of things, trying to piece together before the game even comes out what this game is going to entail, as many other people are doing, especially the great theorists out there who I look up to and aspire to be like. So I'm going to just really quickly go through with you guys the two different trailers that we have been given and break them down to you as to what I think different parts of them could mean and what this game is going to bring to us. So hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe. It would really help out a lot, as I am just starting my YouTube deal here. I've been doing stuff over on Twitch for quite a while, but just jumping into YouTube now to get my name out there with all the other Zelda people. I'm a huge fan of it, have been my full life. But anyway, let's get into the Breath of the Wild sequel and see what we can break down and figure out. So first and foremost, I'm going to show the very first trailer of the sequel that Nintendo revealed to us back in E3 of 2019. So that was the first trailer they gave us. And we're going to be coming back to this so I can point out a few things that I saw in there and just kind of my thoughts of what I see, because I know other people have pointed out these certain things that I'm going to be pointing out as well, but I don't think that they look at it the same way that I look at it, and I would just like to put my opinion out there. But anyway, let's look at the second one. I think it's important to look at these back to back just to see what all has changed between the first and the second, the first and second trailer here. It's quite interesting. Okay. So the first thing that I want to focus on is actually, well, I kind of spoiled it there. Ganondorf. Now, a lot of people have speculated that this is not a Ganondorf that we've seen before, that this is a new reincarnation, but I actually, if you think about it, if you look back on it, the same Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time is the same Ganondorf in Wind Waker. He's the same Ganondorf in Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess being the most recent and the last time that we have seen Ganondorf, the Gerudo King. I believe that this Ganondorf that we see here is the Ganondorf from Twilight Princess for a couple different reasons, which I guess would mean that he's the same Ganondorf that we've always had. His teeth right here, these little fangs. I remember seeing a theory video quite a while back when this video very first released, saying that the person thought it was Demise because of the fangs, because Demise had those fangs, and that theorist didn't remember Ganondorf ever having fangs like that. But he does. Now the top fangs, it doesn't really show out here, but back in the execution, the failed execution of Ganondorf in Twilight Princess, we do see the same fangs on his bottom teeth. And then also you get into the idea of, well, this hand that's holding him down, or whatever you want to believe it's doing, it seems to be holding him down, like holding him back, is holding him in presumably the same place that he was thrust through in his failed execution. If you look at him in the new trailer for the brief second that he's shown, it's hard to see, but you actually do see marks in him where he was probably thrust through. I'm terrible at frame by frame too, so oh, perfect. Now, I'm not entirely sure what this is here. Could be a stab wound that's slowly healed over time. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's almost up in that chest area where the hand was holding him down. And that's also about the area where Link thrust him through with the Master Sword, and also where he was thrust through with the Sword of the Sages during his failed execution. So again, I believe that this is the same Ganondorf from Twilight Princess. We haven't heard from him or seen him since then, and he has since been presumed dead by all of us. Like in Four Swords Adventures, we were like, oh, this is completely new. It's a reincarnation because he died. All this is a completely new thing. But I think he's just been stuck in this state ever since Link killed him in Twilight Princess, and has since just been using his malice, his hatred, to create things like the Dark Beast Ganon, the different puppets that we saw in Breath of the Wild that overtook the Divine Beasts. I think it was him just using his malice and his hatred to control those different things while he's been resting in this state, slowly trying to build back up his strength and his power. Another thing that I keep clicking on the wrong one. Another thing that we can see within this first trailer, there's a couple cool things. Well, we see all this art up here, which this art on this wall, it shows a guy holding a trident, which presumably is Ganondorf, because obviously Ganon in Link to the Past, and ooh, I think in the original Zelda as well. I don't really pay much attention to that fight, but he has always been keen on his trident. And this also looks like his horse that he's riding, the big famous horse that we all know from Ocarina of Time. But the thing that interests me about this artwork here is it's the same form of artwork as on the Prophecy. Same type of artwork. So whoever drew this on these walls, again presumably underneath Hyrule Castle, was familiar with the Prophecy, or is probably the same person who wrote the Prophecy. But why would they be drawing this on the walls in the place where Ganondorf is being kept? That's a question to consider. Another thing to note here, which is important to note, which I kind of missed this the first time around, but Link's hair has kind of grown out, it appears, while Zelda has cut her hair. He's still got the Master Sword here, still wearing the champion's tunic. All is well. Now let's come over here. Link has a little bit of an encounter with the Malice. And there's a shot here. I think I just barely missed it. Yeah. You can see right here, he's got the Master Sword in this segment here. For a split second, you can see I'm in the way. I'm grabbing the wrong thing. I'll just come over here. I'll let my face be covered up. It's cool. Technology hates me. But you can see that he has the trusty, faithful Master Sword. But this is the only place that we see it in this trailer. After this, we get, and even when he's got the champion's tunic again, that is not the Master Sword. That looks like a basic traveler's sword, maybe. So something has happened to the Master Sword. Maybe it got destroyed. Maybe it's lost. Maybe it fell down the chasm with Zelda back here in the beginning. Maybe it fell down before her and we don't know. If I had to guess, I would guess that this Malice... I don't think I rewound far enough. I would guess that this Malice not only hurt Link, because you can tell by his face, he is hurting big time because of this. I would presume that it did something to the Master Sword as well. Either destroyed it, which would be heartbreaking, but at the same time would be very dark and cool. And Nintendo has promised us that this is going to be their darkest game yet, so that would be awesome. But not only does it do something to the Master Sword to where we don't see it for the rest of this trailer, it also pretty much makes Link's right arm useless. It renders his right arm useless after this point, presumably. Because if we continue on here, let's, well, actually, no, let me, actually, no, it's this one that I want to be in. My prediction is that after he's attacked by Malice, he is knocked clean out. He is shirtless at this time. He's still got his regular pants on, though, it appears. It doesn't look like he's got the skirt thing on yet. And that hand has attached itself to him and is pretty much becoming his new hand. Now, my thought process is this. There's a part in this first trailer, and this is a small thing, so I'm just going to try to run past this very somewhat quickly. I'm trying not to ramble too much. I ramble quite a bit. I think that when it grabs Link here, I think that he's knocked out because his hand kind of goes numb as if he's knocked out. So I think it takes him somewhere. And at this point, I think it strips him of his champion's tunic. As if, like, leave this behind for right now. There's more you need to focus on. There's something else you need to focus on. So then it attaches to him and pretty much becomes his new right arm right here. And with this, I am thinking and presuming that we get time travel. And that he goes back and takes the place of the old hero from 10,000 years ago. Because you can see, once again, he has long hair here. If you look at the thing, he had long hair. The hero had long hair within this prophecy. And a green garb. And a skirt of some sorts. That's what I'm assuming that this red is. Maybe it could just be part of his legs, but actually maybe that is his legs. Yeah, I think that's his legs, actually. But that green garb is unmistakable. This does not look like a normal hand, especially like if I could be smart and zoom in on this, which I can't. It shows that the princess has normal hands. Like, even these guys. Like, you can see fingers there. But it shows that this hero has a weird hand. And this sword that he's wielding is not the Master Sword. If you look at the design of that, that is definitely not the Master Sword. Which honestly makes sense and solidifies why we don't see the Master Sword anymore in this second trailer. Because I don't think it's going to be the Master Sword that's going to take out Ganon this time. It's going to be whatever this sword is. I have no idea what this sword is going to be, like what the significance of it is. But I think this is to launch us into a new deal. Because the Master Sword has been around forever and keeps coming back. I mean, Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds, Skyward Sword, where it didn't really start there, but timeline-wise, it started there. Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker. I mean, it's been in nearly every Zelda game. So I think this is going to be Nintendo's way of saying, okay, it's been fun to have the Master Sword while we've had it, but here's something new. So I think that's what this is going to become. Now, that's stuff that you guys have heard before, and this is probably stuff you've heard before as well. These markings on Link are very, very, very similar to those that he has on his body when he's wearing the Zonai, the barbarian armor, which we know through its description in the game is created from the Zonai, or derives from the Zonai tribe. I believe that this hero of the past was not Hyrulean at all. I think he was Zonai. But if I had a bet, I would bet that he failed and died. I would bet that this prophecy is wrong in that way. That the only reason Ganon failed that time was because of the divine beasts and the guardians. And that's why he focused on them solely when he came back, and not so much Link. I think he was able to defeat the hero of old, and maybe that's why we are now pretty much going back and becoming him and doing his work for him. Now, some really cool things that I'm looking forward to in this game. First of all, new enemies again. I want to get a good shot at this guy. These things right here, in my mind, when I very first saw the trailer, is obviously like Lens of Truth like style, but upside down, which is like the Sheikah Eye upside down Yiga clan. Like, that's pretty much what the upside down Sheikah Eye means. Now, is this thing Sheikah or Yiga clan, I mean? I really wouldn't count on it, honestly. And I would almost think, I'm not positive, but this to me almost looks like the new style of a Beamos. We didn't see any Beamos in Breath of the Wild, so maybe this is a Beamos and what they look like now. We're obviously up here in the sky, which I believe is where the Zonai disappeared to. If you haven't read up on the Zonai at all, please do. It's very interesting. It talks about them a little bit in the game, and it talks about them in Creating a Champion, the book. But they disappeared for some reason. I don't know why. No one knows why. I think they ran away to the sky, like the sky people in Twilight Princess, which, don't get tired of hearing about Twilight Princess yet, because there's going to be a little bit more. Something else that's good to notice is that the Bokoblins have huge horns now. And in this shot, it's so hard to tell. Hang on, let me fast forward here. Yeah, it's hard to tell here if Link's arm is that mechanical arm or not yet. A lot of people have said that they think that what he does right here is because of power from his mechanical hand. I do not think so. Okay, that does look like his mechanical hand, actually. But I don't think it's power from the mechanical hand. I think that is Triforce energy. There's a reason it shines gold. I think anything that comes from this mechanical hand is going to shine the greenish blue light when he uses it, when he uses whatever abilities it has. So what he does here, that's Triforce power, which is exciting because that means he's finally tapped into the Triforce of Courage. So that is really cool to see, and I'm excited to see what else he is able to do with the Triforce of Courage. Before in Zelda games, Triforce of Courage hasn't really given him any extra power or extra abilities. But let's be honest, like, and this is like from a non-biased opinion, because Breath of the Wild is not my absolute favorite Zelda game. Not that it's wrong for it to be anyone's absolute favorite Zelda game. But this is by far one of the most strong and courageous Links that we have ever seen. So maybe that's why he's able to tap into the Triforce of Courage so much to gain or to use power like this. But let's continue on. Again, I'm rambling too much. This part is the part I'm most excited for. We see a set of stairs right here leading to a platform that's just empty. I would about guarantee. Okay, yeah, my idea just changed from my idea before. My idea before was that this is a dungeon boss and that we're within a dungeon. I still believe that we're within a dungeon, but this is like a second dungeon or something. This is a dungeon item, I believe, which again, that's a Zonai thing. That's a Zonai dragon head. And it is a freaking flamethrower that attaches to your shield. Amazing. But I think that we're in like the second or third dungeon and that this is a mini boss. And after we defeat it, a chest will appear up at the top of these steps, like we're used to in other Zelda games, with the dungeon item that we're going to get from this dungeon. Either that, or this is the dungeon that we got this dungeon item from, and after we defeat this guy, a chest will appear with the boss key to get to the boss of the temple. One of those two things is going to happen, I think. I don't think this is quite the boss because it doesn't look big enough, I guess, to be a boss. But that's what I think is going on here. And to further support that, I would even bet money that that dungeon is this that we saw from the first trailer. I bet that this is the entrance to that very dungeon where we're fighting whatever that is to get to either a boss key or a dungeon item. So that is my honest opinion about this part. I think that this is Nintendo's way of saying, yes, dungeons are back. You get dungeon items back, which this thing looks like the coolest freaking dungeon item I've ever seen in my life. I mean, look at how it works. Flamethrower. Like, oh my gosh. A flamethrower that is attached to your shield. Say no more, Nintendo. Take my money. Like, where can I find one of those? So freaking cool. Okay, and one more thing. Yeah, one more thing as we finally close. I ramble a lot, so there you go. I love talking Zelda. I could talk about it forever. This right here, this is not the last thing I wanted to bring up, but I do kind of want to bring it up. This right here, I believe is going to be this game's version of the Mirror Shield. It kind of has a shiny look to it in a way. And with the Sheikah eye symbol on there, I think that would be perfect. The Sheikah have been around long enough that they are familiar with the Gerudo Mirror Shield that we got in Ocarina of Time and just mirror shields in general, I guess. Like, I mean, we've seen mirror shields in A Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds, Majora's Mask. The Sheikah have been around for it all. Wind Waker. They've just been hiding, I guess. So I would about guarantee that they came up with their own little mirror shield, and that's what this is right here. That's my thoughts on that shield. And now we can go to the last couple things. First of all, this right here. This screams Twilight Princess to me. It does the exact opposite of what happens in Twilight Princess after you've collected all the spirits for an area. After you've collected all the spirits for an area, water droplet drops down, that thing goes boom, like that, and the area is returned to light, and Link is returned to normal. I think that this is going to be the process that happens and shows when Link travels back and forth in time. This is obviously on the ground somewhere in Hyrule Field, in my opinion. So that would be when Link is normal and in his blue tunic, like we're used to seeing him. Blue tunic, traveler's shield, normal boots, all that. But then when this goes through its little process, it goes by quick. It shrinks up and shoots skyward. Right after it shoots skyward, it shows Link shooting skyward. I think when it does that, that is this game's way of time travel. There have been many ways and forms of time travel throughout Zelda franchise history. Master Sword. The Ocarina of Time in and of itself has been able to help you time travel. It could invert time, slow down time, speed up time, whatever. And the Ocarina of Time was an item passed down through the royal family. Possibly the Sheikah made it? Who's to say? Maybe that's somewhere in Hyrule Historia and I just didn't read it, I guess. But I would have bet that the Zonai seem just as advanced, if not more advanced in stuff than the Sheikah. So I would bet that this is what the Zonai figured out. Something between whatever the mechanics are in that hand and this water is how they do their time travel. So when Link needs to travel back in time and become the hero of old, he uses that ability. Now that ability that I showed there, I think that's the same ability, actually. I think that as he's traveling through the air, it just changes his clothes, maybe? And everything just... This is probably the sped up version of what it looks like when time is sent back. There's probably going to be, like, for the very first time, it'll be all slowed down and stuff. Kind of like when you pull the Master Sword for the first time in Ocarina of Time, how everything went real slow and the room was turning and all that, and you could see it. But then after that, it wasn't the same because it's like, it was kind of sped up. And so I bet this is like a sped up version of you going back in time. This water droplet shoots you up. You change clothes. You go through this thing, all of a sudden you're in the sky. You're where the Zonai now reside, or where the Zonai fled to anyway. Who's to say if they're still there or not? We have not yet seen that. But now you're up here. So I think that's how it's going to work. And I think that Link gets his first taste of this, of how this ability works, within this trailer. The first trailer. I'm terrible at going frame by frame. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe he is in the caves underneath Hyrule Castle when this happens. But this looks like a first-time experience for him. Sorry, I keep sinking down. This looks like a first-time experience for him with this. When he raises his hand up like that, I think he is about ready to shoot up and go back in time. I think that's what's about to happen. Like, this is one of his first times using this ability. He's not used to it, so this is, again, another slowed down version of, here we go. Because he's kind of got the same... He's in the same motion as he was here. Here, if I remember right, maybe I remember wrong. Yeah, his arms kind of crossed over. Now, granted, it's on top of his hand rather than down here, but it's still kind of the same idea. So I think what we see in the first trailer is his first experience with using the power of this new arm of his. And then obviously at the end, something that I haven't heard people or seen anyone comment on is Hyrule Castle looks like it's decayed. More so than what it looked like in Breath of the Wild. So what has happened? I think something had to have happened to the castle. And that's why Link and Zelda go searching underneath it. And I think this part right here, where that's, and by the way, that gives me big imprisoned vibes. Please no, Nintendo. Please no. No more imprisoned. But that gives me big imprisoned vibes. But I think that part is actually connected to this part. Where the malice shoots straight up and spreads out like that. I think that's when it's going, I think that's when it starts pushing up the castle. As soon as that shoots up and spreads out, I think that's when we cut over to this and it's like, boom, okay, we're lifting her up. We're going up. Which we shouldn't be surprised by. One last connection that I want to make, which is a small connection. I should have this full screen. See the nice little explosion around the base of Hyrule Castle before it lifts up? Let me show you real quick what that reminds me of. I kind of wasn't planning on this one, but now I am planning on it. So let me show you what that reminds me of. We're going back to Twilight Princess again. Which, honestly, when Breath of the Wild very first came out, Nintendo said that it would take us back to Twilight Princess. This is back when Breath of the Wild very first came out and everything. They said it would take us back to Twilight Princess. So the fact that there's so many comparisons between Twilight Princess and this sequel is crazy. Now, frankly, that's a little bit of a bigger explosion, and by a little, I mean a lot. But I think that Ganon was planning the same thing there in Twilight Princess to raise the castle up. But when he realized that Zelda wasn't there, he's like, okay, time to get out there on my horse and take care of this that way. Because if you think about it, that's always been his forte. In Ocarina of Time, his castle is hovering above a pool of lava, which this here reminds a lot of people of that as well. I mean, it is very similar. In Wind Waker, he was trying to raise the kingdom back up out of the sea, above the water. Same situation. So Ganon's kind of got a thing about lifting his castle up in the air so that people can see him. I don't know, man. So many different things, but those are my thoughts. To sum it all up, and maybe I should have summed it all up from the beginning so I didn't ramble on for so long. But if you've made it through this entire video and my rambling, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. But my thought process is this, summarized up. We're getting dungeons back. They're going to be dungeons, hopefully both on Hyrule ground and up in the sky, where the Zonai fled to. But the one definitely seems to be up in the sky. Because we get the Zonai dragon head dungeon item thing, and I do stand by that. I do believe that's going to be a dungeon item. I believe the Mirror Shield is coming back. I believe that new Sheikah Eye shield, it looks reflective. It looks like it could be a Mirror Shield. I think we're getting some more old enemies coming back. Like the Beamos. I think that's what that thing is. I think it's a Beamos. And I'm hoping so much that we get Iron Knuckles back and Dark Nuts back, because it's been far too long since we've seen either of those, especially Iron Knuckles. So hopefully we get those back as well. I'm looking forward to time travel. I out guarantee that time travel is going to become a thing. It has to. By what I've seen, what I've broken it down, it has to be a thing. Ganondorf is the same Ganondorf that we've seen in times past. Again, these are all just my thoughts. But I respect and I'm open to any of your thoughts and theories as well. So please feel free to share them. And again, if you liked what you saw, if you were able to suffer through my rambling and stuff, I thank you for it. And I hope that you will give this video a like and hit that subscribe button so that we can get this video out there and maybe even get the attention of the bigger Zelda theorists to hopefully look at this and see what they think on some of my ideas. Because I think a lot of what I have brought to the table is true and is pretty solid. If I'm missing stuff, then I'm open to that, and I'm open to look at how I can improve a little bit more on my theory. And I'm going to continue to work to improve on it. I know I'm going to read a lot more into Hyrule Historia, Creating a Champion, the encyclopedia even, like so many things I'm going to be reading into and looking into to hopefully get some more ideas about what this game's going to bring. But thank you all so much. I truly do appreciate you all. Hope that you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, I've been your Zeldaholic. I'll see you later.